Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in Nerdy Talk do not represent those of Anime Herald. Due to strong language, listener discretion is advised. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. It's time for a special bonus episode of Nerdy Talk. For our last episode, we recorded close to 4 hours of audio for the show. We had a few great conversations, and I didn't want to cut any of it out. So I didn't. Because this isn't a normal recording, we'll be jumping straight into the discussion, so please do enjoy. This week's show includes Mike Ferrero, Matt Brown, Anthony Simpson, Dorian Chadwick, and Ben Fennell. And now, on with the show. A few days ago, A&N reported that the upcoming Studio Ghibli box set, the one that kind of collects all the shorter films that kind of didn't quite get Blu-ray releases in addition to some of their other works, is having a title removed from it. I'm not sure how many people have seen this, but in the 80s, Studio Ghibli did a music video for a music group called, I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Chage and Aska, or Chage and Aska.
Yes, Chage and Aska.
Chage and Aska, called On Your Mark. This was absolutely gorgeous video. Never got the attention it deserved in the West because it was a Japanese music video.
And it was never released in the West?
It was never released in the West, exactly.
I actually saw it in a class in college.
Yeah, and
Filthy pirate.
I've seen it because...
I think it was an import DVD, though. I mean, this was a legit Japanese professor, but then again, he spent half his time hanging out in the back of the room eating pizza, so...
Nice save.
But it did get a release on DVD, so it could have been on a legit DVD.
Yep.
You know I'm totally joking, right?
Yeah.
Or are you? You're never joking.
That's true, too.
But anyway,
which one is it? I don't know. Because
one of the members of Chage and Aska got busted for drugs, they are pulling the title from the set, and they're discontinuing the DVD release that I was just mentioning, which collects a lot of the shorter stuff. I just figured I'd kind of bring this one out to the open and see what people thought of the news that this was happening.
I think the first question is, were they good drugs?
I think...
Well, according to one of the A&N forum members, it was ecstasy, so that's obviously gospel truth.
So he has at least taste, so...
I hope they drank a lot of water.
I know Japan has a different view on drugs than we do in terms of what I want to put it is the taboos, I guess you want to call it. But I think it's sort of BS though that they're just saying, oh well, he did drugs some years ago. Oh well, now we're not going to let this thing come. We're going to take this out. I think it's kind of BS. I mean, okay, I understand it is a different culture. Well, I know they have different norms than we do, but it's still kind of.
We have a history of celebrating heroin addicts so long as they produce something good while they're doing it. So I kind of feel like...
I mean, look at how many musicians we have and actors all
and directors
get arrested for
Robert
drugs.
Downey Jr.
He thankfully turned his career around. And
Kurt Cobain.
That's true. Yep.
Lindsay Lohan.
Of course. I guess she's not super loved these days.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I know it's a different culture.
Soon, asshole.
Can't believe we're not doing phrasing.
I know. Again, it's a culture thing because I know Japan takes a lot different of a look on drugs than we do. And I know the U.S. isn't really exactly a shining example in drug usage.
I mean, again, the ANN forum members said as much, and I think we're pretty damn intolerant about drug use here, too. Anybody that gets caught is pretty much chastised for their entire lives. You can't get much worse than that.
Well, unless you're a celebrity, and then you can I mean, I won't name names. I have a... well, no, I'm not going to actually... I was going to say something.
I mean, the ability of money and power to weasel out of anything that they've done wrong is no different in any culture, I would think.
No.
I do just want to kind of bring this up. He was arrested last month, by the way, so...
I would just like to point out that that the original release, as it were, of On Your Mark was pretty much a couple months from now in 1995.
Right.
So they were okay with making all of that money off of the video until the point where it embarrassed them for 5 minutes, and now they have to remove it from their entire history. It's awfully childish.
What stands out to me is that this is a culture where it is commonplace, accepted, and really normative, and you are excluded in many senses if you don't participate in this drinking culture where bosses often take their employees out after work to get completely wasted, and if you don't get wasted, there's something wrong with you, and you are excluded from that.
And don't forget, that's actually also how some contract deals are made.
Exactly. So, I mean,
that's also more of a issue. I don't mean to say this to chastise the Japanese about that. I know they have I don't want to say a fear of confrontation about making waves, but I've heard that they also too that they basically with people they're trying to work contracts with, they go out and get basically shit faced, and then they deal with it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's not to say that to an extent doesn't happen here in the United States. I mean,
yeah, I mean, we probably make a lot of business deals and stuff much harder than that.
Yeah.
Don't forget the 80s. If you weren't on coke, you weren't making deals.
Yeah, exactly. You weren't a yuppie at that. You didn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how anybody functions on Wall Street if they aren't continuously coked up. I mean, that's
No, they just get high making up, rubbing off everybody else.
Or having morphine at least. But yeah, this is like, I know in the forums and probably in everywhere else, and probably on Twitter, a lot of Americans made comparisons to contrasting it with our stars and how our celebrities get away with some of the most ludicrous stuff that a normal person wouldn't get away with. I mean, we have an artist here, not gonna name names, that pretty much beat the hell out of their girlfriend, and still makes money off his music, and is still making new music as we speak. And he seems even more like a bigger douche afterwards than he was before. So
Key and Peele actually did a music video about the individual in question, doing another reunion music video with Rihanna that ended with her tasing him in the music video. Because the chorus in the song was "Tonight I'm gonna hit that." It was a pretty amazing sketch too.
But yeah, I mean, it does seem a little, I wouldn't call it childish, but a little, I'd say more cowardly to take something off that's like 5 minutes than to leave it on DVD for the fans, because I'm sure the fans do not want to remember this guy as this person that took this drug, but rather as someone who sang this song that they liked.
They are pretty much staining his name by doing this.
Oh god.
Yeah, and again, it's one forum member that Matt referred to actually lives in Japan, so they're kind of the way they. I mean, I still think it's BS, but the way she said it, the way I think that person's a woman. If you're not, I'm sorry. I have to sort of go through what they say that culturally we look at things significantly. We know all cultures look at things differently. I mean, good example. Look at how we look at sex here compared to Europe. It's different. Or even in the United States and Japan. I mean, I don't want to say their attitudes towards fan service. I mean, some things it's a cultural difference, and I mean it's not necessarily wrong. It's just some groups are going to think of things differently.
In this case, I'm just not so sure it's cultural. I think it's conservative in nature. The sense that anything that embarrasses us is worthy of, if not the death penalty, then ruining people's lives over it.
Yeah, I mean, there's extremist religious law that's essentially couched in that same idea, too. And like the Sharia law, conservatives in this country are always afraid of, while at the same time trying to impose something vaguely like that, but with Jesus at the middle. It's just dumb. That's all
It is, and I mean, again, it's some of it is culture. Now, I know there is some drug use in Japan. At least I know with methamphetamines. I know that's pretty.
Yeah,
big
I was gonna. Sorry to interrupt, but I was gonna say that too. That they have a quite a large problem with people using stimulants in their society.
Well,
At least it makes the news a lot.
Well, using amphetamines actually, a lot of it stems from Africa too, is that the Yakuza took it from our bases that we had over there, and they would give it to the people, and then they basically the Yakuza, and then I think it was either the government or the police. Basically, they had a meeting and basically said, well, if you don't sell anything harder than this, we'll look the other way about it.
Okay, now I'm seeing something very interesting. It appears that drugs are a big Japanese thing. Apparently, other Western celebrities, Russell Brand and what did they say? Paris Hilton were banned.
Well, I think
drugs.
Well, Japan, I think, don't quote this as me being the expert here, but I think that if you have any type of criminal record, drugs or whatever, you're banned from entry into the country. So it's not so much the drug thing with those two being banned, it's just that you have a criminal record. They don't let people in. They don't let, if you say, well, you have a criminal record, you're not welcome here.
If you want to go to Japan, better not do any shoplifting.
It almost seems like a ticket to freedom, doesn't it? Yeah, if you want to be a NEET for life, just have something on your record, anything at all.
That's right.
Right.
You can be a burden to the state, and they're not going to say anything about it. They just want you to keep quiet.
I'm like recounting psychopaths in my head now.
But yeah, I mean it's stupid, but there's nothing. Really, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, I do feel bad, and there is another phrase I'm going to bring up: time heals all wounds. I mean, will eventually his stuff be, eventually re-released? Maybe not.
I would imagine eventually that the temptation of just making that money again probably would be a compelling force at some point.
Well, I mean, it's going to, like I said, time heals all wounds. I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, I think the whole point behind all of this was that it doesn't make it doesn't make the drug addict look bad, and maybe he's not even an addict; he was just caught.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it seems like an awfully, well, it doesn't seem like it is a heavy-handed move by the publisher to kind of head off at the pass any ill will by I don't even know who about this incident, and they're just going to lose money from it. It cannot make them money to cut that piece.
I also think, too, it makes me think of stories I've read, too, of, pop groups like AKB48 and group members getting kicked out of that because they've been seen in public with a boyfriend or something like that.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, still, you upset
more
the
of
fan base, and then it's just like, really?
Yeah,
well, that's more of a very thing I'm not going to get into.
That's a much different, much scarier thing that we can talk about later.
Right, and
it's creepy and sad. I'll say that.
Yeah,
much.
well, well, I mean, I'm not going to get into my thoughts on idols, but I'll give you an example over here of something where something happened with, and the person, now they got turned around quickly, was a NASCAR driver, AJ Allmendinger. He got busted for taking a stimulant. He failed drug test twice, so they sat him out a whole season. He went, did some other stuff, and now he's back. And got his career kickstarted again. Now, granted, that was over a period of 2 years where this happened, but and again, somewhat a culture different. I mean, I know the opinions on some of the drug stuffs here is changing. Like, marijuana, legalizing that, I know is starting to change. The opinions are starting to change on that, and we are starting to see some. I mean, we got 2 states now where it's legal. although the conservatives slipped out because I think some elementary school students in Colorado got a hold of it, and they're like, "This is what we were worried about. You know, the kids are going to get weed." I'm like, "Oh, okay, they can still get it," because the news this morning, I heard, I don't know where this was, I think it was out in Pittsburgh, a girl, they rushed to the hospital because she was smoking marijuana, a fourth grader was smoking marijuana in the bathroom. She got caught. I mean, so people are going to get, you know, but they were going to get it if they wanted, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting to see now you know, our thoughts on, okay, because we really seen how much of a waste of money drugs was, you know. It really, all we did was wasted a bunch of money.
We're also
ruined a lot of lives too.
Well, a lot of people that got killed who didn't need to be.
We're also seeing, they're also seeing just how much money that legalized marijuana brings in.
Oh, but yeah, and all too, and then you know how much power we gave to the cartels by having this, but that's not going to.
Our prisons are overflowing too as a result. That we're trying to move toward releasing some of the older non-violent offenders.
Like, I think the Department of Justice is kind of starting to say, you know, yeah, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna be totally like nationist or whatever the appropriate term is, but here in America, I think it's true that we tolerate drug use a little bit more in our celebrities because we tend to celebrate them as individuals and not. You know, we don't consider them as people who could be replaced by somebody else in the next 5 minutes. But I think that is different in Japan. That a lot of these celebrities in Japan are groomed to be somebody who can be replaced in 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
It's disposable fame.
We're true. But getting back what I was saying about like the drug use, now we're starting to see, you know, the medical marijuana is starting now getting improved, you know, starting to gain some traction because the DA, I think, is interested. I mean, we've been here in Pennsylvania, we've been trying to pass some legislation to get it legalized.
Well, I would like to point out that that's not the same thing as
I know it's not.
As the conventional recreational drug use.
Oh, I know,
Right.
I know it's
Because the medical marijuana is actually a different strain from your typical marijuana.
Well, yeah, 'cause it has THC in it.
Well, it has less THC. I'm not saying it doesn't have any.
Yeah, I know it has less. I just like to see the laws change so we can start growing hemp again here.
THC sound system. The audience is smoking.
No, I know it's different, but even you see polls, I know polls are very deceiving and can be manipulated. You know, we're really starting to realize that, you know, really what's the purpose of having these, you know, having like say marijuana be criminalized. And I know some of the other harder stuff, we're not at a point in society where we should, you know, have them legalized. I mean, I don't think we're really ready for heroin to be and the ecstasy to be legalized. I mean, we're not there.
Oh, those never should be.
Well,
they have extremely harmful effects.
Well, I mean, there are legal versions of heroin. I mean, like your narcotic painkiller, all your opiates, that's legal heroin.
No, it isn't. It's
a different molecule, dude.
Well, it's similar. I mean, there's some similarity. I know.
Yeah, just because they're all opiates doesn't mean they're all heroin. That's extremely different.
No, they're not.
I mean,
Flintstones chewable morphine.
I mean, Adderall is only one molecule away from being either cocaine or heroin. I can't remember which, but it's still vastly different.
Oh, I know they're different.
Yeah. Yeah. Sodium chloride is only a bond away from being two explosive and or poisonous substances. So.
Homemade bombs.
Soap bombs.
There's a dirty bomb.
All right.
All I know too, I just want to end things by noting that if I learned anything from the DARE program as a kid, it's that down every corner there's going to be a kid with a hat on backwards willing to offer me weed for free, suggesting I'm not cool if I don't take that. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? I want to be cool. I wanted to be the coolest kid in school, so of course I wanted to have all the weeds.
You know what's funny is I've never met that kid. I've never once had somebody try to sell me that stuff, which is, you know, just judging by the people I know, it's really odd.
I mean, I've been around people who've smoked it, but no, I mean, and offered. I declined, but sell, no.
In college, I lived next door to a couple of meth dealers.
Excellent.
Thread one.
So that's why you're so messed up.
Their dorm didn't explode, did it?
No, they were honestly.
I mean, I hope they didn't cook it next door to you.
No,
Breaking Bad episode.
Yeah.
Then we'd have a Breaking Bad college edition, yeah.
That's right. Every other line of dialogue would just be the word bitch.
All right. I guess we can move on from here.
Yeah, we've injected way too much awesome into this conversation.
Yes,
Better
we have.
end it.
A lot of our listeners are going to be going out to. They're going to be going and doing drugs now, thanks to our complete tacit endorsement of it.
All right.
Way to go, guys.
Disclaimer: Nerdy Talk Podcast does not promote the use of promote.
Dude,
drugs.
seriously?
I disagree.
you don't need to do that.
You don't need to do that, dude.
All right,
Yeah,
just
it'll get cut anyways.
okay. Give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
All right. Moving on, everyone. Earlier this week, Gundam SEED director Mitsuo Fukuda went on a bit of a tirade on Twitter regarding the nature of Japanese TV. He started off talking about how the morning news gets run, and it pretty much turned into this big critique about his thoughts on the devaluation of Japanese people's quote-unquote interests and opinions. He remarked they had to eventually turn off the TV and was frustrated with what was quote-unquote a nonsense spying device. As his last word, he basically went out and blasted the anime industry, saying that he thinks the lineup of late-night anime has become subject to too many regulations, causing it to become boring. And he also thinks that had Gundam SEED been produced in today's market, censorship would have pretty much killed it, saying that the episode about Flay would have been completely useless at that point. So, granted, Gundam SEED was, a show that had a guy that exploded like a bag of overfull popcorn. So, anyway, I just want to hear what your opinions are on that, guys.
Okay, so I'll start. I know what scene he's talking about with Flay. It still would have been shown because if I remember correctly, you didn't really see much. For those who don't know, it was basically a sex scene, more or less. Well, Kira's in bed, and then the klaxon goes off. He goes, "Oh, the enemy!" So he gets out of bed and he starts dressing. Well, Flay she basically sort of, I don't want to say gets out of bed, but she kind of gets up and it's basically she's naked. You don't really see anything, if I remember correctly. She's has a towel, or not a towel. She has sheets covering her breast, which implies that her and Kira had sex, and that would have been shown because you don't really see anything. Now the compilation movies, which released, sort of expanded on them scenes, so you sort of see something, but not even then. It's not much. I do to an extent agree that I think there are too many regulations, especially with what getting censored. And I'll give you a good example. Now, I'm not watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I've seen the pictures. They have the character who is smoking a cigarette. They have that blacked out. So, you sort of see, half his head, and, where, everything basically from his nose under is all blacked out. And I'm like, that's a little ridiculous. Because I know that, and some of them might have been a shift conservatism, sort of being a little more conservative end of what they could show, but I know I mean I understand why censorship exists to an extent, at least for television. There are standards, and I do understand that, but I think it's getting ridiculous where whole scenes are essentially completely either blacked out. You get magical floating steam. You got my favorite thing, magic shafts of light out of nowhere.
The God rays.
Kill a kill.
I'm just way into that stuff.
But I mean, and I understand that some of that, then it might boost the Blu-ray sales, but it really is a bit ridiculous. I mean, I know you can't go completely uncensored to show everything because yes, they have standards too that they have to follow, and yes, you have things like ATX, which does show stuff uncensored to a point. Now some stuff will still be censored, but I do agree with them that yes, things are a little too, or maybe they can loosen some of the restrictions in terms of what they can show up a little bit. I mean, obviously, I don't want them to go full bore and you have, you could just show anything. I think there still should be some restraint, although I think that should be more on the end of the creators and not so much the networks. That's really all I have to say though about that. I'm not a big fan of censorship myself, but I understand why it exists. Anybody else got opinions, or am I going to be the only one saying anything?
Frankly, I do think that we're getting to a point where it is a little bit on the ludicrous side. While there should absolutely be, some form of S&P on TV, it is getting to the point where it's getting detrimental to the shows themselves, where it's oftentimes more silly than anything else, because people already, if anything, it's making it worse because people already knows it's underneath that steam or that god ray. It's just
the example I just gave with the smoking. I mean,
exactly,
because you still see the smoke, you still see the cigarette smoke. I mean,
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess at least I'd rather have that than have somebody magically have like a toothpick or something, or instead of having a gun, they have some kind of like
walkie-talkie.
Have some kind of like Rune Goldberg type shower head thing.
I mean, it's
a hammer, and like they did in One Piece in the West.
Or a walkie-talkie.
It's not to the absurdity of the 4Kids stuff, but it's stupid at points. Like, basically, it pulls away from the overall impact of a lot of scenes too. Like the smoking, people start to focus on the little stupid stuff than they do on the actual show itself at points. Just because, like with the God Rays, again, it's like, you already know it's there. Yeah. They're just making it more obtrusive and more noticeable.
Well, I'll give you another example. It was from Doraemon. They had a scene, I think it was probably from the new one, the 2007 or whatever year it was, the newer one, where a vacuum cleaner basically takes off the character's panties. And now all you just see is you basically see her buttocks. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's
a hell of a vacuum cleaner. I mean, seriously.
Well, it rips them off. It's not just like... It's not
again, that's a hell of a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Anyway,
have you ever used a vacuum that can do that?
Well, I've used vacuum cleaners before, but not one that powerful. But anyways.
That's an orc vacuum.
However... Eventually, they did now. I think when it aired initially, it was uncensored. Not a big deal, because again, Japan generally has a different take on that kind of stuff than we do. We fortunately have a much more, I don't want to say Puritan aspect to it, but I think it's a little more, it's more of BS thoughts on it, but that's not the point. So when they re-aired it, that same scene, they put a nice white streak, like a nice, like magic fog, over basically her, where her crack would be. So you the panties still come off, but you sort of see her ass cheeks, you just don't see the crack, you don't see her, crack. That got censored.
They just don't want to turn people on to crack.
But yeah, it was too easy. Yeah, it is. And I think even like Nadia when they re-aired, I think even that got censored because there was a scene. And I'm going off memory on this one, where I think it's one of the episodes, I forget which episode it is off the top of my head, but where she's changed into a swimsuit. Well, when Jean spies on her, you can sort of see her nipples. Where when they re-aired it, her nipples were gone. They weren't like blacked out or like no like magic fog or magic rays of light. Basically, they just didn't exist. Like, you still see her breasts, but it's just like they like I guess airbrushed out her nipples. So it is getting a bit ridiculous. Wow. I mean, and even here in the United States, things have changed because, we all remember watching Simpsons where the character something happened, and you see their ass. Now you can't show that anymore.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in terms of language, they're getting very comfortable with being able to say shit on basic cable left and right now, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's...
maybe a little bit later at night, but definitely true. I see... Well, practically every show on the USA Network has that word somewhere.
Yeah, Daily Show, Colbert, Conan have it on a regular basis.
Well, yeah. because I know after a certain time period, I think it's after 11 to I think 5 a.m. At least over here, the FCC, they lack some of their rules, so you can say certain over the airways. You could say certain things that you wouldn't be able to say during the day.
Yeah. And of course, yeah, and then
they keep giving ground because the FCC never had any credibility to begin with.
Well, yeah, like I'll give you an example. I don't know if Comedy Central does this anymore, but they used to at midnight. They used to show comedies, more ones that tend to be more raunchier, and your 4-letter profanities, things like shit. I don't know if the F word was said. I didn't.
Yeah, it was.
But most of your
they
profanities were.
And the N word.
Well, they do hour-long stand-up specials at midnight now that are completely unedited. And IFC, I guess, IFC and Sundance actually air movies completely unedited. All the nudity, all the sex, everything untouched.
Well, they might be... That might be different. Now, I know Comedy Central, like say, if they had a movie that had nudity, the nudity would still be censored.
Yeah,
so
they still do that.
You wouldn't see, bare breasts or ass or genitalia. They'd be censored, but, some of the language was... relaxed a bit.
Yeah, they do that now.
Yeah, I mean, they've been that way for a while. And again, there's, I know, a radio station here, one of the rock stations, did the same thing. Come midnight, they would start, and even, I'll kind of date myself a bit. Like, when Howard Stern was still on a terrestrial radio, he used to complain that, because of course now he aired when the rules started, in the morning when the rules started tightening back up. He would complain that they had used to be, I think it's still on, called Love Line, which was Adam Carolla was on it, and Dr. Drew was on it, where people calling about problems like with sexuality and other things, and they'd say some really a lot more stuff, and he just complained. He's like, well, here these people can call in, and they'd say stuff a lot worse than I do, but here I can't even say a certain thing. I'm getting, censored the hell out.
Wow, what the hell happened to the original topic?
Pulling us right back. Any more stuff to talk about in regards to specifically with Gundam?
I think I had something, but I'm gonna need to take a brief moment to remember what it is.
God damn it.
Yes.
Oh.
He'll remember it at the end.
Then
I remember it now.
Okay, so just looking at this story, I feel like we don't have even a fraction of what the full story might be. It's the ANN story is talking about things that Fukuda-san supposedly said on his Twitter feed, but they don't give an actual account in English of what he said on his Twitter feed. So there's really no telling what he actually said for those of us who can't read Japanese. So that said, it seems like it's just a frustrated person who is talking about the thing that frustrates them, and I'm not really sure that it says anything beyond that. Saying the scene about Flay that would have been completely useless, well, there's honestly no telling if that would have been true.
Well, like I said, if I'm going off memory, and sorry to interrupt you, Matt, you don't really see anything. And again, now I'll give you another even more recent example. Future Diary had they had a rape scene where you see, you don't see you see the girl basically on the ground getting raped, and they had two characters had sex. Now you really don't really see anything, but that stuff could still air. I mean,
well, yeah, that's
I think even I think even Miyazaki from a few years ago had a sex scene in it.
Yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, the kind of stuff that they actually show, they typically don't show sex at all. They will, depending on the time of night that the broadcast shows, they might show nipples, they might not, but you know, they show plenty of naked bodies, and it usually involves no contact whatsoever.
Right.
And that's just the way that Japanese TV tends to be, at least as far as anime goes. And they show plenty of violence, which I continuously find funny. It's like they show pretty much everything that they absolutely want to in terms of blood and violence. But the moment it comes down to sex, that's completely off limits. It's silly.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like here, in a way.
Yeah.
So it's okay with... It just seems like, to me, it's just like...
Wait, we don't show blood and gore and...
No, but people seem to be okay with violence, but anything with the body or sex seems to be cardinal sin. It seems to be like a cardinal sin.
I think here it's different in the sense that you're just going to lose ratings if those two crazy kids actually get together. That's a different thing.
Yeah, to an extent.
Plus, all the children are going to go to hell if they ever see a nipple.
God forbid.
I mean, I just don't know what to draw from this story. I don't think that there's anything of real substance from this as far as the information that's available. And it's just a guy that's frustrated about his industry, and he's not the first guy to ever be frustrated about the work he does. I don't know what else to say about it, because we don't really have anything to go on.
Well, say look at Miyazaki. It's like he's always complaining about something.
Yeah, I do have a problem with the fact that they compared this to one of Miyazaki's rants, because that is completely it's a completely different topic, to be honest.
It'd be like sort of saying, if let's just say Hitchcock was still around, if he had a complaint about the Western, Hollywood, and Uwe Boll had a problem with it. I mean, you compare them to it, it'd be like, no, they're not the same. It'd be, they both happen to work in the same type of industry, but, Miyazaki's rants are just Miyazaki being Miyazaki.
Oh, this is something. Miyazaki's rants are something to listen to, and Fukuda-san, even though I respect his work, his rants are not necessarily something to listen to, because he didn't put his name on it and publish it in print. That's pretty much what I have to say about. I mean, I may seem a little bit harsh toward him. I just don't know the full story, and I'm sorry. What shows up on the internet is not doesn't carry the same weight as something that somebody publishes as a book.
Conceded. I mean, you make a good point there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you're right. Something in print form, does have more weight than something that's just written on a website. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with you on that.
Well, and even not just a website, but Twitter.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, conceded.
I mean, Twitter is not a long form narrative type of publication. It's somebody spouting off what they think of at that moment, and I'm not saying it doesn't carry weight. I'm saying it's not as well thought out as something that shows up in a book.
Right. Like I said, I don't disagree with you. I mean, well, I don't have anything else to say about the subject here. I mean, I've said all I need to say.
All right. How about you, Matt?
What?
I take that as the general. We're clear.
Yeah, we. Okay. Yeah, we were clear because I stopped talking, but now I'm talking again, so I should stop.
All right. Our last topic of the night. The charts for summer anime are already starting to hit. We have a good idea of what's going to be hitting the airwaves, so I figured I'd kind of reach out, see what you guys were looking forward to in the current lineup.
I have quite a few shows I'm actually interested in. Whether I'll actually finish all of them is always a different matter, because I usually drop like a whole bunch of them. So I'll start with mine. I'm going to check out the second season of SAO. This is not like I'm not watching ironically. I do legitimately want to see what it does. Kame Kill. Probably going to check that out. It's definitely the second season of Space Dandy. Alden Noah Zero. Saba Gebu. Zenkyo Nuter. Francesca, if that even has anything, I'm not sure that's going to air. Here's the title I'm going to butcher really badly. Roku Juyuma no Shin. Wow, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. It looks like probably one of the harem shows I'm going to check out. So yes, I'm just giving up because I can't pronounce it. Or can't pronounce my writing.
Rokujuma no Shinryakusha?
Yeah, I apparently can't read my own handwriting. Kantai Collection, Momokyun Sword, Rail Wars, and for the OVAs, there's 3 of them interested in checking out. Nanon Biori, Kenzen Robo, Diamond Dollar, which OVA for the current airing season, and Mujaki no Rakuen. Actually, there's 2 I want to talk about that I'm going to check out later. I'm probably going to check out the Rieta Psychopaths, maybe just to see what they do, and plus also give myself a nice refresher for the upcoming season. And I am going to check out Sailor Moon Crystal. I'm just going to wait till it gets near the end, mainly because of being 2 episodes a month. You know, that's going to take about a year to finish. So what I'm just going to do is wait till there's like maybe 2 or 3 episodes left, and then just start watching the series so that when I finish, I can go right into the end, because that every other week basically kills my interest of watching something. If I'm watching something week to week and I don't get to it before the next one's out, and then I just like, okay, I'll put on hold, watch another time.
Yeah,
going back to our earlier conversation, Usagi was her last name?
No,
No,
her
that's her
last name was
first name.
Tsukino.
Oh, okay. So this is Tsukino Usagi. Okay.
Her name is literally Rabbit of the Moon.
Damn it.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
Looking at these materials, you never know which is front and which is back.
So what's everyone else going to be checking out?
Well, I guess I'll go on. Before I do, I couldn't help noticing that there are a lot of established properties. It seemed like going through it was almost like deja vu looking at looking at the calendar. Joking aside, I'm looking forward to Sword Art. Definitely looking forward to Sailor Moon. Akame ga Kill has my interest. Dandy's a must, just because, well, it's Dandy. Zankyo no Terra actually has me intrigued. It's one that I'll probably keep an eye on as kind of like a tentative title. Let's see. Other than that, Yamishibai I'll definitely be watching. I adored that first season, and I can't wait to see more of those. Rail Wars I'll be watching, and I might check out Persona, see if it got any better, but honestly, anyone that knows me knows my thoughts on Persona 4. I pretty much have said it pretty loudly, pretty well. I see it as the bad anime of the Shin Megami Tensei universe. It seems like it was scripted as a TV series, made into a game, then made into a poor adaptation of a TV series that got made into a game. Other than that, for like OVAs, movies and stuff, I'll be checking out. While we will never get the OVA here unless it's on a DVD release, I do hope we do get the manga artist and assistant OVA. But I'll also be checking out Lupin, Jigen vs. Daisuke, Jigen Daisuke no Bohyo, and Ghost in the Shell Arise 3. Both have my interest. How about the rest of you guys?
Alright. I'll go. Of course, there's Sword Art Online, Sailor Moon, Space Dandy. I do want to check out Persona 4. Only watched a few episodes of the first one, and I do want to check that out. And also I'm looking forward to the Persona 3 movie as well.
Persona 4 also has the benefit of being the second chance of the exact same content. So hopefully that means it's not, hopefully they learn from the mistakes. Hopefully.
Don't worry, Teddy is still a character conceived solely to sell plushies.
Okay, I'm done. No, just kidding.
Hopefully.
All right. Moving on. 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 Moving just sell plushies and make bear puns.
Yeah. The other one I'm looking forward to is the Psychopath. Now, it said this is a edited version of it, and it's going to be done in 11 episodes.
Yep, they're recutting into 11-hour length episodes as opposed to like that weird, what was it, 23 or 24?
Well, it was 22 episodes.
All right, yeah, 22
because
half hours.
Natomia and their odd,
Yeah, I can
amount
never.
of episodes.
I can never really keep track of the Noida Minute stuff.
Basically, it's generally if it's a single core. Well, if it's just going to air during one season, it's going to be
11.
basically 11 episodes. If it's longer, then it's usually like 22.
Mm.
Because I don't know why. I guess maybe because they want to be the cool kids on the block, they have to do less than everybody else. So I think sometimes that hurts them having less episodes.
Because they have to rush sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that some of these having 13 episodes would make it better, or 24, 26, but sometimes those 2 episodes might be able to, maybe better writing will be able to make a difference.
Mm.
Well, if it's the same block, then maybe they just don't have enough to get them through the summer.
Well, I mean, it's probably not. I mean, because they only really ever have like two shows at a time for the Natomia block, because it's just an hour-long block.
Yeah, but I am kind of looking forward to that since I didn't finish watching the regular Psychopath.
I mean, you should.
Yeah, I know. Okay. The 2 others are another Nobunaga series. After we got 2, this past season, we got 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting another one. So I might check that out. This one's a little different. And then the last one is something called Barakamon. It's a slice of life type of comedy show. And to be quite honest, I never really looked at and watched slice of life shows, especially in anime. So this will be my first one, so I'm hoping this one might actually be good because it sounds interesting. So.
I actually did not see this on the grid before, but it does sound very interesting.
That's all I got.
All right. How about you guys? Matt, Ben?
Well, I can't say I'm too interested in what they're doing with Psychopaths. I like the show, but I didn't like it enough so that a re-airing with extra footage is going to mean anything to me. I liked it for what it was, and I'm done with it. Sword Art Online, I want to say the same thing, but the second season I didn't like that much, but I don't want to hold it against the show because I think that it does have pretty strong writers, and if the backing material is good, then the show will be good. So it's just a matter of seeing what they have. And as far as the rest, I don't know. Akame ga Kill looks mildly interesting, but it's hard to say. I don't know anything about it. And there was maybe 1 or 2 other things. Bakumatsu Rock is is kind of stupid, but I honestly I like the premise a little bit. It's based on a game, which is probably bad for its prospects, but I think I could potentially like it, so I won't rule it out until I've seen an episode or 2. And there may have been 1 or 2 other things. I see that there's a show by Production IG called Ao Haru Ride. It looks like a straight up romance series, which I wouldn't ordinarily be interested in, but if there's not that many shows in general that I'll be interested in, then I might give this one a shot because Production IG tends to never let me down. I believe that might be everything. Yep.
I'm kind of surprised none of us mentioned All Noah Zero, which is...
Actually, I didn't. I did mention that.
Alright, sorry, I missed that one. Because Yeah, I'm surprised I missed that one then, because that's being done by Gen Uroboshi, who did Psychopaths.
Yeah, you're a butcher, as he's referred to as.
Urobuchi. Look, I know. I cannot talk tonight, but anyway.
Oh, I did forget to mention that there's a sequel to Senko Roll, which could be interesting. I'll keep an eye on that.
All right, and Ben?
Oh, I'm still not streaming anything at this point, so I have about a million things to catch up on, but I figure I'll keep working on One Piece and then chipping away at my backlog some more too, so I can work on some more DVD stuff, so that's sort of my summer plan as anime goes at this point.
So you're going to be caught up to episode 600 by the end of the summer. Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh God.
I'll be dead by the end of it. I'll be like those
Won't be
Korean
seeing him.
StarCraft players that don't survive a game.
Oh, we won't be seeing Benji for the next couple of podcasts.
That's right.
That's right.
There's a lot of Korean StarCraft players that don't survive the game.
That's true. If you die in the game, you die in real life.
All right, everyone, that's our show. Thanks as always for joining us. I'm Mike Ferrer, signing off.
Peace out. I'm Matt Brown.
Sayonara, bye-bye. This is Anthony Simpson.
I'm gonna go to bed now. Or in fact, was going to bed.
Cool. Whoever that guy is going to bed.
That's right. Latesman Gates, this was breakfast for dinner.
Thanks for joining us.